Okay, let's unpack this. We often talk about memory as the bedrock of life.
Right. It's the foundation.
It's what defines us. It's how we learn.
Yeah.
It's the whole structure of our identity. We spend our entire lives trying to remember more.
Mm.
But today, we're going to challenge that. We're doing a deep dive into something that, most of us just see as a failure.
As a mistake.
Forgetting. The sources we've been looking at suggest that the most essential human skill, the real secret to sanity, to creativity, is actually the ability to forget.
That it's necessary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're going to start in this place that sources describe so beautifully, a country none of us can visit.
The territory before memory.
Your first 2 or 3 years of life, I mean, think about it. You live those years with what one source called total presence.
Mm-hmm.
Every single sensation was the entire universe. And yet now, when you try to look back,
There's nothing.
nothing. It's gone so completely, it's as if it happened to someone else.
And that absolute blankness, that's our starting point.
Yeah.
Our mission today is to flip the script on that.
Okay.
We need to stop seeing forgetting as, a bad hard drive that's failing.
Mm.
We're going to look at how it's structurally essential, how it's not a bug, but an architectural feature of consciousness. So why does that country exist? That initial blank slate? I mean, the most common explanation for infantile amnesia is pretty straightforward neuroscience.
Right, the developmental stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It suggests that in those first few years, the hippocampus, the brain's sort of main memory filing cabinet, it just hasn't fully matured yet.
So the machinery of long-term memory storage isn't online, as they say.
Oh.
But I'm a little skeptical that it's just biology. I mean, if the experience has happened with that total presence, why would they just evaporate?
Well, the sources propose this fascinating counterpoint to the biology. They say maybe this forgetting is the original mercy.
The original mercy.
Yeah. Think about it. If those years were lived with absolute sensory overload, imagine the impossible weight of keeping that archive. Every moment of total helplessness, every wordless confusion, every shriek of unmet need.
Oh, that is a staggering thought. The psychological weight of that, of having a perfect record of your own helplessness, it would make being an adult almost impossible.
You'd be crushed. We can only really function because that archive is sealed until we have a narrative self to make sense of things.
Right.
And what's also amazing is the quality of that lost state. The infant lived in pure duration, life before then and when.
I love that.
It's the ultimate don't know mind, a state of pure presence that people spend decades on meditation retreats trying to get back to.
But that raises the question, doesn't it? Even if the narrative, the story, is gone, we know those early experiences shape us. If I was, say, neglected as an infant, that has to leave a mark.
Well,
Where's that memory stored?
it's stored in what we call implicit memories. The specific story, the image of the room, the sound, that's gone. But the trace elements remain in your nervous system. Your body remembers being held safely, or it remembers the anxiety of that absence. It's knowledge without any recollection.
So the memory isn't in the archive. It's literally in the architecture. It's the invisible foundation for your adult self.
Exactly. And that leads to this really profound thought experiment the sources put forward.
Okay.
Would you take a drug that let you remember your first year with perfect adult clarity? The suggestion is that this might feel, obscene, a colonization of that sacred pre-story state by your current judgmental adult mind. You kind of need that silence at the beginning of your story.
Yeah, you need that door to be closed. It creates a necessary boundary between the chaos of just being and the organized chaos of adult life.
Yeah.
Speaking of organized chaos, let's jump forward, past infancy to the memories we do have. Because this is where forgetting gets really subversive. It reveals that our adult memory has never, ever been a camera.
That's so critical. We all operate under this delusion that we have these perfect little files of the past stored away. But the research is clear. Memory is an active, creative
A
process.
story you tell yourself.
And it changes with every retelling.
The classic example of this is the Lost in the Shopping Mall study.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
A researcher tells a participant, with help from her brother, that she was lost in a mall as a kid. And she starts to remember it vividly. She adds details, feelings.
But it never happened.
Never. A complete fabrication, but her mind just filled in all the blanks.
And the neuroscience explains exactly why. When you recall a memory, you're not just pulling up a fixed file. You are actively rebuilding it. And in that moment, the memory becomes labile.
Okay, labile. Break that down for us. What does that mean?
It means it's malleable, it's unstable, open to being changed. So when you pull up that memory, you are, in a sense, editing it before you save it again. You smooth out the rough edges. You make it fit your current self-image. Which means, and this is the really wild part, that your clearest, most cherished memories, the ones you tell over and over, are probably the most corrupted.
Worn smooth like a stone in a river. So the brain's goal isn't accuracy?
Not at all. It's to create a usable past, a useful myth.
And if you doubt how necessary that is, there's the incredible Borges story about Funes, the man who couldn't forget anything.
Oh, Hune's the Memorias. He suffered from perfect total recall.
And it destroyed him. He had this inventory of every leaf on every tree, every single sensation he'd ever felt. But he couldn't think.
He literally couldn't generalize. If he saw his dog at 3.14 and then saw the same dog 1 minute later at 3.15, to him, they were two different beings.
Wow.
He was trapped. And the insight there is that forgetting the details to see the pattern, that's what makes abstract thought possible. That's what makes us intelligent.
And that applies directly to our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, think about our relationships, especially long-term ones.
Yeah.
Forgetting is critical.
You absolutely have to. You have to forget the initial idealized fantasy version of the person you fell for.
Right, that perfect stranger.
To love the real, complex, flawed person who's there every day, you have to continuously let go of that first image.
And on the flip side of that, you get resentment, which the sources define as the total failure of forgetting.
It's not just being angry. It's actively maintaining a detailed ledger of every slight, making sure the past never dies.
And forgiveness, then, is
strategic amnesia. It's not pretending something didn't happen. It's the active choice not to let that past harm colonize the present moment.
But wait a second. If forgiveness is strategic amnesia, is that truly sustainable? If you just forget every time someone hurts you, aren't you just setting yourself up for it to happen again? There's a tension there, right, between forgiving and remembering to protect yourself.
That tension that's the heart of it. That's relational maturity. The key is in the word strategic. The knowledge doesn't vanish. What you release is the emotional charge, the way it takes over your present. You hold the boundary, but you let go of the resentment. It's a functional forgetting, not a total wipe.
So if we take this idea of structural forgetting and we expand it, we have to talk about the physical self. The sources bring up the ship of Theseus paradox.
The ship replaced plank by plank.
So if trauma is a failure to forget, then healing must be about teaching the body how to forget. How does that actually work?
It's a mechanism called memory reconsolidation.
Yeah.
This is revolutionary stuff. We used to think traumatic memories were fixed, like they were burned in.
Right.
But we now know that when you retrieve a traumatic memory in a new, safe context, like in therapy, that memory becomes labile again. It becomes changeable. The brain recognizes the safety, and when the memory gets filed back away, the emotional terror attached to it is dampened. The body finally learns that the event is over.
It's like an update to its internal software.
Yeah.
And we see this adaptive forgetting outside of trauma, too. The sources point to childbirth.
Oh, absolutely. The body and mind collaborate to soften the memory of severe pain.
Because if women remembered the pain of childbirth with perfect sensory fidelity,
the species would not continue. It's a stunning example of the body strategically overriding the brain's data retention policy for the sake of survival.
Okay, now this is where things get truly mind-bending.
Mm-hmm.
Inherited forgetting. We're talking about epigenetics. The idea that trauma could be passed down not through stories, but on our DNA.
Yes. Epigenetics shows that experiences like extreme stress or famine don't change your DNA sequence, but they can change the chemical instructions on how your body reads that DNA.
So it's not a typo in the book, it's a sticky note in the margin.
That's a perfect analogy, and the results are stark. The children of Dutch famine survivors, their bodies became aggressive fat storers because of epigenetic markers signaling scarcity. Their bodies remembered a famine that they never lived through.
That sounds terrifying, being trapped by a past that isn't even yours.
But here again, we benefit from a kind of conscious forgetting. We can acknowledge this inheritance without being defined by it. If we felt every single scar of our ancestors, we'd be paralyzed. We get to realize that the inheritance also includes resilience, not just the scars.
And the need for this kind of forgetting is maybe most urgent right now, because we have built a global system, the internet, that is fundamentally incapable of forgetting. There's no natural erosion. Your past is preserved in perfect fidelity forever.
This is the modern paradox. We've outsourced our memory to the cloud. And the result is what the sources call Temporal claustrophobia.
Temporal claustrophobia. I like
The
this.
stupid thing you said when you were 20 is permanently archived. It stops you from becoming someone new at 40.
The grace period of youth where you can make mistakes and learn and have them just fade away, that's gone.
It's collapsed. And the technology remembers even when you want to move on. The algorithms don't just record your past, they use it to become deterministic of the future.
They shape what you see, what jobs you're shown.
It's technological karma, with no mechanism for a fresh start.
That's a huge social cost. I mean, in a world without digital forgetting, how does redemption even work? If the sin is never forgotten, how can the person ever be fully reintegrated?
It creates this massive tension between accountability and mercy.
Hmm.
Our legal system is built on the idea that a debt can be paid, a record can be sealed. The digital world is built on the opposite premise. The record is always open, always searchable.
But what if the sheer volume of it all saves us? If we're all generating terabytes of data, doesn't the signal just get lost in the noise?
That is the paradoxical hope, that when everything is remembered, maybe nothing is truly remembered, because human attention is the real bottleneck. The new skill isn't data retrieval, it's how to be forgotten in plain sight.
Let's pull this back to the positive side for a minute. High performance, creation. The deep dive argues that all creation absolutely demands forgetting.
It does. Think of a writer or an artist. To make something new, you have to forget the inner critic, that voice yelling, "This has all been done before." You have to forget the mountain of everything already made.
And it's a double forgetting too, isn't it? You also have to forget the original perfect vision of the thing you set out to make.
Yes, so many creators get stuck mourning this idealized version that only existed in their head.
You have to mourn the perfect piece to finish the actual imperfect piece.
And this applies to any skill. Flow state in sports, jazz improvisation. Mastery means you know the rules so well you can forget them and just let it happen. You practice obsessively so you can forget to think when it really matters.
And structurally, this whole need to discard information is just. It's the architecture of sanity itself. The sources define sleep as the brain's scheduled forgetting.
A necessary process. The brain prunes trivial connections, it processes emotional charge, it cleans the slate for the next day.
Which makes the link between mental health and amnesia so stark. Burnout, anxiety, PTSD. At their core, they're all failures of forgetting.
The mind is just overloaded. It can't discard data fast enough. The past is refusing to become past.
So what this all points to is that sanity is really this middle path, the ability to remember and forget flexibly.
To hold your story without being held captive by it. Spiritual traditions have been pointing to this for centuries, forgetting the absolute importance of the self in order to be truly present.
So as we step back from this whole deep dive, the central theme really holds up. Forgetting it's structural to our existence. It lets us be born, it lets us love real people, it lets us create, and it lets us stay sane.
And that initial forgetting, infantile amnesia, is mirrored in this really profound philosophical idea from the sources. They suggest that original consciousness forgot itself on purpose to play the game of separation.
So the final remembering.
The eventual recognition of oneness could be a revelation rather than trivia.
And here's the final provocative thought for you to take with you, drawing from how the sources look at the end of life. If your memory, your biography, is what defines you, what remains when the forgetting becomes total? Through illness or death? What persists when the body is stripped of its life story and the self is just awareness?
You're functioning right now through constant, continuous forgetting. So can you learn to trust that the value of your life isn't measured by how well it's remembered by the internet or by history, but simply in the momentary, creative, and courageous act of being lived?